So good evening, friends. As you've just heard before, my name is Mark Jocumsen and I'm a member of the Toowoomba Baha'i Community. I want to start by making clear that while I'm an elected member of the local spiritual assembly of Toowoomba, I have no individual authority, either spiritual or administrative. In accordance with the Behold's teachings, we don't have a clergy in the Baha'i Faith. So being such a significant occasion and being given the responsibility to do the keynote speech, I was determined to make it perfect. Educational but not preachy, humorous yet respectful, interesting to all, motivating, inspiring, thoughtful, engaging. Each day I sat down to write, I found myself starting all over again. When I finally tested my preferred version with my father, he said, "Mark, that is way too much to take in. Just share your story about your personal spiritual journey and then people can take away from it what they wish." Good playing, Dad. I just wish I'd spoken to you a week ago. So here goes. I'm going to give you the short summarised version of my search for truth and how it has shaped my life. I'll share my top 3 Baha'i principles that resonate with me and provide some thoughts for everyone who may be considering investigating Baha'i faith or supporting the work of Baha'is in Toowoomba. Firstly, if I'm going to use the word truth, I must first define it. The dictionary defines truth as that which is true in accordance with factual reality. This definition works for me because it makes truth independent of what anyone believes. It makes it real and something that can be sought through reason and investigation. Science has helped enormously in humanity's search for truth, and it is always my first point of call. There is, however, spiritual aspects of reality that scientific methods are unable to explore, and this is where the search for truth becomes more challenging. The 3 fundamental questions for which I want to know the truth are: is there life after death? Does God exist? And if those 2 are true, what is God's will? These 3 questions were answered to me as a child through my Christian faith. I enjoyed going to church. I prayed at night. I loved Jesus and agreed to be baptised and confirmed at the age of 15. I proudly avoided saying Hail Marys in high school at St Mary's because I was an Anglican and not a Catholic. I first learned of the Baha'i faith though through my grandmother. She was an early Baha'i in Queensland and my mother was friendly to the faith. Then I moved to Brisbane to study engineering. At university, I was exposed to many new ideas and was challenged as to why I believed what I did. I increasingly found my rational, logical engineering brain coming into conflict with my doctrine-based faith brain. This incongruence led me to doubt that what I believed was the truth. I began seeking a way to retain my love of God and Jesus while making sense of the multiple other religions in the world whose followers seemed just as devout, virtuous and worthy of heaven as Christians. Fortunately, at this time there was a Baha'i in my year at college, and through him I gained access to Baha'i books, talks and firesides. I investigated the Baha'i metaphorical explanations for all the miraculous events that underpin my Christian faith, such as the virgin birth, Christ's resurrection and his physical ascension into heaven. I explored the historical aspects of Baha'u'llah's life to see if I could come up with evidence of fraud, hoax or delusion. I read his writings about many metaphysical and spiritual topics, such as life after death, the nature of God and the status of the prophets. After a few years, the Baha'i faith seemed to make sense. But I still had this nagging thought that it may all be too good to be true. Maybe there was not life after death, and no God, and religion was purely a grand, man-made delusion instigated by well-meaning but misguided individuals. My search paused there as I shied away from the inevitable leap of faith. The required leap was much less than while I was a Christian, but it still was far too great for a logical engineer with a deep regard for science and wisdom. I needed some more independent evidence to support the notion that there is more to reality than the physical world. By chance, or maybe not, I was walking in some markets and came across a book called Life After Life by Raymond Moody. He was a medical practitioner who became fascinated by accounts of people who were clinically dead yet survived to describe vivid spiritual experiences that occurred while they had no detectable brain activity. These accounts of near-death experiences were compelling and gave me the independent evidence I needed to believe that our consciousness survives death. Finally, I was able to make the leap of faith needed to believe that Baha'u'llah was speaking the truth regarding the spiritual nature of our existence. Now that I'd decided to believe in Baha'u'llah, I was still a long way off from being ready to declare myself a Baha'i. My main concern was whether I would be able to follow Baha'u'llah's teachings. I'd come to know Baha'is and had such a deep respect for their love, values and conduct. I felt unworthy of calling myself a Baha'i. In addition, alcohol was a normal part of my social life, and the idea of confidently declaring I would never drink again was really quite daunting. I was also newly married and was not going to join a new religion if it would negatively affect my marriage. The solution was a period of transition, where I began gradually introducing Baha'i practices into my life. I started attending the devotional and social portion of some feasts. I started saying a daily obligatory prayer. I even endeavoured to do the fast each year. During this time, I introduced my wife to Baha'is and helped her learn more about Baha'i principles and practices. Finally, I asked her if she minded if I declared myself a Baha'i, and to my relief, she said okay. Eventually, I reached a point when I didn't want to die without being numbered as a Baha'i. I had to set my ego aside and humbly accept that I was a beginner again, and ready to learn from those who are far more knowledgeable and spiritually deeper than I. The actual process of becoming a registered Baha'i was very easy and quite an anticlimax. I simply signed a Baha'i declaration card and submitted it to the local spiritual assembly of Brisbane, who then met with me just to confirm that I was genuine in my intent. I declared myself a Baha'i in the year 2000 at the age of 26. I now have the right to vote in Baha'i elections, serve on Baha'i institutions and contribute to Baha'i funds. I could also become part of one of the most exciting and important projects to be ever undertaken, namely the peaceful unification of mankind. Now fast forward 17 years to today. Life is good. I feel I have lived a very blessed life. I have a loving family with sound values. I feel I'm making a meaningful contribution to the betterment of mankind. I also feel hugely grateful to have met so many inspiring and lovely friends through the faith. That being said, my passion for seeking truth remains strong. Despite my study and practice of the Baha'i Faith, I'm only barely scratching the surface when it comes to comprehending the extent and significance of his revelation. The more I learn about the Baha'i Faith, the more convinced I am that it provides the solution for the challenges that mankind is facing. I also gain a growing sense of urgency to share his teachings and to give others the opportunities that I have had. The following are the top 3 Baha'i beliefs I hope everyone in the world will one day accept. Firstly, science and religion must be in harmony. Science gives humanity tools and knowledge, but religion guides us in how to use them. We need technology, but it should be used for the betterment of mankind and not for its destruction. We also need to test our religious beliefs with science and reason to ensure that they are not obviously false. I feel quite comfortable in believing that God created the universe through the process of the Big Bang and evolution. Secondly, progressive revelation. The founders of all the major religions have been sent to guide mankind through the ages, and none should be regarded as greater or lesser than another. Baha'is lament the religious conflict and disunity caused by religious leaders insisting that the founder of their faith is the premier and last messenger of God. Jews don't accept Christ. Christians don't accept Muhammad. Muslims don't accept the Bab and Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah makes it clear that God will never leave mankind without divine guidance, and that there will be other manifestations of God sent to address the needs of humanity in future millennia. Thirdly, the oneness of religion. I'm a member of the Toowoomba Baha'i Faith working group and have recently returned from Paris speaking about the role of religion, the role religion can play in bringing about peace and harmony in the world. I interact regularly with representatives from different faiths, and almost invariably they are beautiful people with excellent values who are devoting their lives to the service of others. If only these people in the world were to present a united voice advocating for religion to counter the growing sense in our communities that religion is not relevant nor beneficial to society. If the world accepted the Baha'i principle that the purpose of all religions is to carry forward an ever-advancing civilization, far more people would be interested in investigating and practicing religion. I'd now like to provide some thoughts for anyone who's considering investigating the Baha'i Faith or supporting the work of Baha'is in Toowoomba. Firstly, the independent investigation of truth is a fundamental principle of the Baha'i Faith, so we expect all the difficult questions. Don't be afraid to call us out on anything that doesn't sound right or you don't understand. Roughly half the Baha'is in our community did not inherit the faith from their parents, but have become Baha'is as adults. So expect to find Baha'is who are very understanding of the challenges of the journey. Secondly, Baha'is are human, and all are at different stages on their personal journey. You will meet Baha'is at all different levels of knowledge, faith and virtue. Don't expect us all to be saints. We all have challenges that we are seeking to overcome, and Baha'i laws we are yet to fully implement in our lives. And thirdly, our Toowoomba Baha'i Community is a purely voluntary organisation. We face the same challenges as any other volunteer organisation, and that there's always people with more or less time to contribute. Some members of our community are very active in Baha'i activities, while others are serving the community through their family, work and other voluntary organisations. And finally, be patient with our enthusiasm and teaching efforts. We deeply believe that there is a huge amount of unnecessary man-made mental and physical suffering in our community that would be alleviated through people studying and applying the Baha'u'llah's teachings in their lives. We also believe that humanity is suffering a wide variety of ailments, and time is running out for a peaceful transition to a global civilization. We as Baha'is would be irresponsible and negligent not to seek to urgently share Baha'u'llah's message in the hope of attracting other souls willing to assist in this endeavour. The key community building initiatives we would love assistance with are the running of children's classes, our junior youth programs and devotional meetings. If you do want to spend more time with Baha'is, please ask a Baha'i friend to invite you to future Baha'i events, and ask them to invite you to a fireside in their home where you can ask more questions about what they believe. In conclusion, tonight I have defined truth and outlined my personal journey to the Baha'i Faith through the stages of doubt, investigation, decision and transition. I've given you an overview of the Baha'i principles of the harmony of science and religion, progressive revelation and the oneness of religion. I've also provided some insight into what a seeker may find if they choose to investigate the Baha'i Faith in Toowoomba, and how people can become more involved in Toowoomba Baha'i activities. Next on the program is a beautiful audio-visual presentation entitled Baha'u'llah in His Own Words, prepared specifically for tonight's event by a very talented member of our local community. This presentation will transport you back in time to the moment that set in place the incredible chain of events that led you to be here tonight.